we pursued a number of really impact opportunities. Obviously, not all of them work out, but it wasn't from a lack of trying to be as aggressive as possible, from an unwillingness to get uncomfortable. But ultimately, it takes two teams lining up for those trades to line up.
Oh, Craig, we got to talk, man. You know what? Everyone, let's do it. Here on Boston Has Entered the Chat inside our Salem 5 studios, Friday, August 1st, the first of the month. You gotta love it. Travis Thomas here with the Kasey Hudson. Case, that trade deadline. Wow.
Good morning.
Wow.
Good morning.
We have a lot to talk about here.
We do. I feel like we need to do a little bit of therapy here. August 1st, what better time to come together to just chit-chat a little bit more and then honestly turn the page. Because how long can you really sit there and sulk? It's a gloomy day.
You're right.
Stay off the roads. Do what you got to do on August 1st.
You're right.
But let's turn the page.
We'll turn the page, but
At
first,
the end of Boston Has Entered the Chat.
Yes, exactly. By the end, we'll turn it because now we got to get into it. By the way, we'll also talk football on this show, which was on your television last night. Did you guys catch it, or was it too much trade deadline stuff? We have football from now until February of next year. So that's something to celebrate as well. And remember, we want to hear from you. 617-790-0928. You can also tweet at us using the hashtag NessenChat. You can email us as well. Every platform is available. thechat@nesson.com. So we hear Breslow there. So obviously we want to start with the trade deadline.
Right.
All the conversation is about what the Sox did not do.
Right.
Let's start with what they did, okay? May, obviously, Dustin May, Steve Matz. None of us felt as though it was enough per se, but Case, it did check some boxes here.
Yeah.
You needed another starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Check, Dustin May. You needed another reliever. So they at least addressed that. You didn't get another bat in the lineup, which I didn't love. I thought you could get that at first base. I thought there were some names out there, and we can get into them later.
Yeah.
But they did at least address a couple of issues here with this team.
Yeah, and let's land on that one for a minute, because the first thing that I do is I like to go check what reporters have been keen on when it comes to some of these guys that you're either unfamiliar with or you're wondering how are they actually going to help this lineup or level up when it comes to the pitching staff. So sticking with May for a moment, you're talking about the guys. I hope you guys watched the MLB trade deadline show here on Nesson, but initially when the trade was being discussed, it was saying, okay, he could potentially be a fifth starter that can move into that fourth starting spot in the postseason. A lot of us are still having hopes for a postseason for this Red Sox team. But when I was looking at the reports from Dodgers reporters and whatnot, they were saying that he's got a lot of upside when it comes to his postseason. And he's got more poise than he's getting credibility from. And on top of it, on a healthy stature, he's had comparisons to Tanner Houck when Houck is healthy. He's also had comparisons to Zach Wheeler. So you're talking about somebody who's probably looking to take the next step and kind of prove himself a little bit further. Not what you want to hear when you were expecting sexier moves, but these are some of the things that jump out when it comes to May. Also can layer in a pretty insane fastball in a timely manner. Go back and look at him really just kind of taking it to the White Sox. I mean, the guy went through nearly 6 innings without letting up anything. And I like to see the confidence and composure he had on him after every single time that he just basically took hope out of the sails of the White Sox players. So I see where the upside can play in, but I also see where the question marks can level out as well.
Well, I mean, listen, he was an ace-level pitcher before he got hurt. That's really what this is about as it pertains to Dustin.
We don't want to be playing with ifs. Well,
that's the truth, though, Case. And since he had Tommy John, he's not the same guy. I will say this. I do think if he's your right now, today, if you're telling me he's your fourth starter in the rotation, I'm fine with that. Because likely, we all know, Crochet, Bayo, the way he's pitching right now, I feel confident with that 1-2 punch. Giolito, and then now you're in the Mayville, okay? So maybe May over Giolito, he could be up to your third starter. I'm thinking more fourth. If you're in a series and Dustin May is, pitching in that rotation, I can live with that. I think it's a lot. Look, Dave Roberts himself said they were going to move him to the bullpen.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you're rolling the dice here, but that's what this stuff is. It's a roll of the dice. The same thing with Matz. I wanted Ryan Helsley, his teammate, who's a little younger and I think a little better. But Matz, a couple years ago, was the guy. So I think some of this stuff is, I don't want to call them reclamation projects. Like, that's Shane Bieber, okay?
Right.
They're not that. These are quality pitchers in MLB. I think that's a nice, fair way to describe it. But you are hoping that they can return to a certain level of performance. That's what has me worried. If you're just trading for these guys to just be across the board solid and kind of like bodies, like we got some arms here, then I think if that was the strategy, you should have got more. You should have got 2 or 3 of these cats. They didn't do that. So that, and we hear Breslow say, we were aggressively trying to go get a Joe Ryan, a Merrill Kelly, all the names we've talked about ad nauseum.
Right.
They didn't land them. So, you know, I don't want to say it's like a, you know, you settled for this, but some of me thinks if you were going to go this route, you should have got more bodies in. You should have got more arms. And by the way, get me them back too. A lot of these guys who went for prospects.
Yeah.
I mean, Naylor, O'Hearn, all these guys at first base we've talked about. You didn't have to give up a ton.
We weren't willing to depart from prospects.
And there it is. So, so that's kind of where I'm at, is philosophically, if you didn't want to get rid of top prospects, okay, I disagree, but I get it. Then get me more bodies then. Like, that's sort of where I'm landed on. With Matz and Dustin May, they're both fine, but I just feel as though if you were going to go that route, you should have had 3 or 4 more names behind them, too.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, because heading into anything, you don't want to be reliant on the what-if game.
Yes.
And you don't want to be looking for where the upside can be. You want to have a little bit more confidence. Just as much confidence has been clearly set on this current lineup before these new additions were added to the team. I will add, when it comes to Matz, part of the concern is, like, you love to hear that he's a left-handed killer against lefties, but then you're also looking at kind of what we're going up against come August, and you're not looking at too many heavy lefty bat lineups coming at us. So you want to see where this can kind of pivot out to be more beneficial for the Red Sox and not kind of corner you. You don't want to be catty cornered when it comes to some of these matchups. But I think that a few things happened, and I think that Alex Spear asked about it during the press conference last night in terms of, like, Marcelo being injured, that kind of shifts expectations and where you're going to be heading in terms of, like, what you need to pick up. And we don't have a timeline. They need to get a second opinion. It was mentioned yesterday. And then there's just, I think them winning the Dodgers series probably put an extra layer of, I don't want to say too much confidence, but an extra layer of confidence on these guys' shoulders in terms of how much movement needed to take place. I mean, they weren't really expected to go and win out the series versus the Dodgers. They were expected to maybe be a little bit more competitive, but they rallied in a way that had everybody exciting. I've said it before, this team can be one of the most fun teams to watch, and then it can also be very frustrating to see where the inconsistencies play in.
Yeah, that's well said. You know, you and I talked after that Dodgers series, I remember. I was saying that I thought that Dodgers series would put pressure on the front office to go and be aggressive to add pieces. But to your point, it could be a chemistry thing where they thought, we're not going to break this up. Certainly in the Jarren Duran situation, who that's a name, all of us had him traded by now, but we all know he's a leader in the clubhouse. He's a spark plug for this team. They didn't want to get rid of him because right now the chemistry is there, which I do understand.
And then look at this, what took place during the Dodgers series and then what took place during the Minnesota series. You're talking about seeing different guys kind of step up at different moments. You know, it's still the top guys we talk about the most, but you still kind of saw them kind of come in hot at different in different innings and different moments and different games between the Dodgers series and the Twins series.
Which is also cohesion as well. I also thought of Rafi Devers last night too, and the reason I bring that up, because Tibbs, who was a guy you got in that trade, you traded him now, okay? So I'm thinking, what would have happened if this team had held on to Rafi until the deadline? What would that return look like? Now we get
it would have had to be bigger.
It would have definitely been bigger, but at the time you traded him, that timing was important. You had to get him out of your clubhouse, and you wanted to get off that contract. And the Giants did all of it in one fell swoop, and it's not working for them, by the way. That's another topic for another chat that we should have. But, you know, I couldn't help but to think, like, damn, well, if they had hung on to Devers, certainly that's a piece. If you wanted him out of here, that's a piece you could have got more at the deadline. And maybe we are this morning talking about a Joe Ryan or a Merrill Kelly or more, right? Or Zach Gallen or something like that. So I thought about that. The other thing I thought about, too, is Matz and May both are free agents at the end of the year. So I'm like, well, if we're going to go rentals here and we're giving up prospects, go get one of the dogs. I just brought up Zach Allen. He's a free agent at the end of the year. If it's a rental, I'd rather have Zach Allen.
I think that's the other layer of frustration here for Red Sox fans, because it was just a few weeks ago that it was more so being said, we're not looking to be in the rental market. We're looking for somebody to be a part of the clubhouse and control. So to kind of veer away from that, it just felt like there was not enough to set accurate expectations.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. By the way, I have a list. I can't even help myself. I'm looking at all the teams around the Red Sox that were very aggressive and got a lot better. The Tigers got way better. They get Morton and Finnegan in that bullpen now. Watch out for that team, who's starting to play better. I keep saying the AL's wide open. I could be completely wrong and sleeping on 8 Mile.
I wouldn't say the AL's wide open.
Well, I mean, right. Yeah. I could be sleeping on the Tigers. But the Mariners, Suarez and Naylor, we address that. Stroh's getting Carlos Correa back. The Rangers, Case.
Yeah, I know.
I
said that this was therapy day. Have at it.
Oh, when Merrill Kelly, it's not even so much that he went off the board and the Red Sox lost and didn't get him. Okay, I can live with that. The Rangers? This is a team you're trying to keep them in the rear view.
Yes.
He goes to them? Yankees got better. Blue Jays got better. Rays got better. Come on.
And think about it, when we were healthy, being the Red Sox, and how challenging the Rangers were months ago.
And they just added the guy we needed and wanted, National League. I mean, all these teams are trying to armor up to take out the Dodgers, who are the final boss, right? The champs. Phillies got better. I actually think you can make a case the Phillies maybe won the trade deadline, getting their closer in Duran. The Mets got better. They upgraded the bullpen. The Padres got O'Hearn at first base. That's who I wanted for the Sox. So all these contenders were very aggressive, and the Sox did what they could. They were aggressive, but not aggressive enough. All right, we'll shift gears from the deadline. We did get a call. We want to hear from you, 617-790-0928. How about young Terrence getting involved with the program? Thank you. He called. He just wanted to know, how can the Sox play really well in the second half of the season? Take a listen.
How do you think Boston can move forward from this iffy first half from last year and channel that into a better second half, coming off of a bunch of tough series against top opponents in the second half of a good season?
First of all, thank you, young Terrence, for calling.
Thank you
We
so
want
much.
you all to call 617-790-0928. I mentioned to you, this is a family show. You see that? All ages are welcome.
Bright spot in our day.
Yes, as far as the second half of the season, now at this point, especially with the trade deadline behind us.
Right.
And as you said, we're turning the page here, right?
Page
okay.
turn.
Then it has to be health. Wouldn't you agree? Young Terrence, if this team can stay healthy, because I don't think the depth is there, if they can stay healthy, they have a shot at making this postseason. We'll see what they do in it. I think the deadline could have helped them have a deeper playoff run, personally. Yeah. But this team should be a playoff team as long as they can stay healthy. Would you agree?
I wouldn't agree with you more. Health is all of it, especially because we finally started to see some pop in the lineup, and with some of the restructuring of it, that's where the confidence and the excitement started to build a bit more. So health is going to be one of the biggest factors, but this lineup helping each other out in the right order, it's going to be another one.
Still to come here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. We'll switch gears and see what's trending in the world of sports. We'll expand the world of sports here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. Roll with us. We'll be back. Let's get into what's trending in the world of sports. I always try to, I like that little drum roll action, little rock action. I hear it. Turn it up. Yeah.
I actually never played drums.
You never played drums?
I couldn't.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I got a little bit of a rhythm there.
Look pretty good.
Yeah. I was a guitar gal.
Fridays, I always say this. Fridays on Boston Has Entered the Chat, they just hit different.
A whole different vibe.
They just hit
Always
different.
A whole different vibe.
Okay, now, was this a different vibe for you all? Because Kasey and I didn't fall for this mess. Check out this tweet. Fox Sports and Yahoo Sports were guilty of this. They tweeted a fake report that the Sox had traded for Joe Ryan during yesterday's trade deadline. Friend and family to the program, Steve Perrault, said, "Hold up, wait a minute. Somebody needs to be fired for this." He wants people held accountable. I'm with you, Steve, because this was all fake news. Now, Kasey and I didn't fall for this, not because we're company people, but because we were watching the Nesson trade deadline coverage here. Great job from TC and the crew. We should have been, and if you were, you wouldn't have fallen for this malarkey. Okay?
Emotions would have stayed intact. Your insides wouldn't have been volcanic. You would have just been even killed. Even killed.
Now, we were watching Nesson. I was even popping back and forth. I was on MLB Network as well, watching their coverage, and they never reported this. The reports on the television side were Red Sox, as well as many other teams, were in talk with the Twins for Joe Ryan, but nothing concrete yet. They were using words like nothing is done. You said Spear even said like, hey.
An attempt to make a push.
Listen to the wording we're using, folks.
Yeah.
Well, Fox Sports and Yahoo Sports put out, it's a done deal. Wrong. So many people were upset by this.
Oh, of course. Look, not to be rude, I know that typically we have to tread lightly with Yahoo Sports. You got to do one more Google search, you know.
Yeah.
But Fox, like, I was shocked.
I trusted you.
I trusted you. You have been on my side. I've been on your side for years.
Facts.
But I did also mention to everyone that, like, this picture, this tweet, this release, it felt very suspicious from the jump. Like, it didn't look right. Like,
Joe Ryan don't even look right.
They look like they ran this through a really trendy filter. So, like, the background, the grainage, the vintage, all looks good. He's got a touch of blush to those cheeks in a serious moment. So, like, when I did see this while I'm listening to TC, Alex, Lou, and everyone chit-chat on, I was just like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. Yeah, it didn't feel right. The tweet just looked meh.
Sketchy.
So sketchy. It looked AI. I could be dealing with some PTSD because we've been dealing with a lot of AI situations.
We talked about a Celtic story, remember?
A whole Celtic story very recently. So that's still on frame of mind. So I see tweets and I'm like, let me get more out of this. But trade deadline, they were still too calm. And they hadn't even addressed it for maybe a whole 5 minutes after the tweet came out. And then that's when the attempt for a push was mentioned. And I was just like, whoa. So Steve's right. Somebody's job is probably on the line.
My attention span will not let me move on from the AI stories. Remember the one where it was like Drake May's wedding gifts? Remember that one? And everyone fell for Drake May had donated all his wedding gifts. And he was like, bro, that's not true. It was an AI. I miss the days when AI stood for Allen Iverson. That's when we were a proper world.
Yeah, we're getting back to that. Because, again, make it make sense. Like, you're going to give away all your wedding gifts. Like, how do you revalue that so that you can donate it to people to be useful for them? I don't know. I hope that all lined up accordingly. But
here's a real story that's not AI, and I love every second of it. Ann Rappaport reporting. Here it is. Rap Sheet says, with negotiations stalled and Terry McLaurin holding in with no progress, the Commanders' wide receiver has requested a trade. So you're telling me there's a chance? I've been saying all summer long, please go get Terry. Kasey has made a sign that says, pay him, this one right here, pay him New England. Terry.
Please.
Take it from
thank
me.
You.
Terry, take it from me, because I know you watch Boston Has Entered the Chat, my brother. As someone who came from D.C. up here to New England.
Good point.
Oh, man, we will welcome you with open arms. If they welcome me with open arms, and I'm loud, obnoxious me, imagine what they could do to you, because you, Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, unless you have to trade them, Carl Williams, I mean, now you're cooking with gas in that wide receiving core.
I feel like we have two really good but different pitches here.
Your sign.
Yeah, I have the sign. I'm standing outside of your window. This is my stereo for you. I have this, and I just want you to know, Terry, you will be seen here in New England. We see you. You will be valued.
He will.
This is the relationship you deserve.
Yes.
This is healthy, no anxiety.
Yeah.
You don't have to check social media to see what I'm doing on the back end. You're wanted.
Yeah, loyalty.
Yeah.
I like that. What's my pitch? Just
well,
I'm fastball down the middle.
You are.
Yeah.
You're a wicked fastball.
I mean,
coming in hot to the point though.
Yeah.
Which is very well respected. And you did one better. I told him he was seen, he was wanted. I'm doing the words, you are doing the actions.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna drive the U-Haul truck.
I will drive whoever.
You're gonna help him pack up.
Patriots.
And you're going to bring him into New England territory.
Do I have Mike Vrabel's name and number in my phone? I sure as hell don't.
We're
Hey,
happy to
Patriots,
help.
can somebody pass this along to Braves for me? I will personally, because I know the route like the back of my hand.
Yes, you do.
I
I'll
will
get lost.
personally get the U-Haul, pack up whatever wide receiver, not named Stephon Diggs,
Right. Thank you, finally.
not named Kyle Williams, since you just drafted the kid. Right?
Yeah,
Let's give him a chance.
Breathe, yeah.
I like Pop Douglas, but I mean, if we're being honest, like, okay, so any receiver not named Stephon Diggs or Kyle Williams,
Right.
you can pack them up, put their stuff in the U-Haul. I will drive it my damn self to Washington, D.C., and return with the Terry McLaurin. He ain't gonna ride in the U-Haul. Send a plane for Terry.
First class?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe private? Kraft's got the...
Don't get crazy.
I mean,
Humble.
he's got the-
Humility. We're
Okay,
paying
all right.
him.
First class
Like,
ticket to
come on.
Terry. He come up here. I'll take the U-Haul from here down there, drop off whatever receiver you need and some draft picks. You know it's going to take some draft picks. And then someone else, maybe you, can drive the Brinks truck to Terry's new estate in New England, wherever he chooses.
Did
Okay.
you assume to trust me driving a truck because I was a military brat?
Hey, that's Terry's problem.
Okay.
My job, y'all heard what I said. I'm driving you all to D.C. What you do is on
Driving
you.
the money.
Yeah, no, you're driving the Brinks.
Okay.
You got the Brinks to Terry's house, wherever he buys in New England. I think we should get this done. We could make it happen.
It sounds good so far.
Maybe Breslow should have called us. We could have got some things. We're moving and
If
shaking.
we would have pitched helping move, I feel like that would have been a good addition to being aggressive. Could you imagine? That's half the headache. Take it from a military brat. When I did the Red Sox Foundation the other week and the guys were in there helping out, I was like, yo, shout out to your families who have to be ready to move on the drop of a dime. Like, we're talking
Facts.
about guys who probably have to live out of their carry-on for a couple of days while their families deal with the logistics and the semantics. So we can help. We'll be the logistics
I like
team.
it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you know it always goes back to gambling for me.
You really are a degenerate.
Yeah,
huh?
I am.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the odds, next team odds for Terry McLaurin, just to have it for us to talk, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking maybe, I knew the Patriots would be up there, but I wasn't thinking what I saw. So, of course, the Commanders are the favorite. Because it should be noted, other players have used this tactic before.
Bargaining
Debo
chip.
Samuels, T. Higgins at one point demanded a trade. Brandon
Yeah.
Ayuk used the Patriots to get paid from the 49ers, demanding a trade. Everyone thought the Patriots would do it, and it just got them paid with the Niners, okay? So this has happened before, and maybe this is a tactic from Terry to get paid, and he doesn't go anywhere. So I understand why the Commanders are the favorite, but right behind them, for the best odds, the New England Patriots. And when Vegas knows, Vegas knows. I think it could happen. I really do.
Yeah, I like to keep my money in my refrigerator and my closet. But if I was on your level,
Never mind.
if I was
Never
on
mind.
your level, I would tell you that I agree.
We don't have enough time in the show for me to ask the refrigerator with the money, but we'll move on. Madden 26 ratings are out. Christian Gonzalez, how about this? The second highest rated corner in the game. EA Sports, 95 overall. That's beautiful. How about this? And of course, the Patriots showing him love there. I almost feel like
Show me love.
Madden is giving him more love than he actually gets outside of this town in real life.
That's accurate.
Right?
Because I like to go look at the reactions. That's, again, social media. They were losing it. They were like, unless you are a diehard Patriots fan, this makes no sense. Also, there was some sting behind, well, not Sauce Gardner, but Stingley not being higher up in the rankings, and definitely,
He's really good.
Definitely, that's not my verbiage, but definitely ahead of Christian Gonzalez.
Well, look, I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with what they did either. Like, I think all these kids are really good. Stingley's really good. Gonzalez is bigger, which I think gives him an advantage, but Gonzalez could be a great one. I think
2
the key,
interceptions, 11 deflected passes.
well, the key for him, though, Gonzalez, I'm talking about, is just health, right? Like his rookie year, he got hurt. Last year, he stayed healthy, and we saw, I mean, Madden clearly saw. And then now he's dealing with a hamstring issue that we think is going to be fine, but he needs to this season show and prove I can stay healthy and still be dominant. And then I think it won't be as much backlash for these kind of things. Does that make sense?
I think we're going to see that he's a dangerous man.
He is.
He's a dangerous
man.
man.
By the way, the rookie class is out on Madden. Will Campbell, 79 overall. Travion Henderson, 76. Kyle Williams, 72. It sounds about right. I do want to see what Drake May will end up being. I'm curious of that. We'll have more of Boston has entered the chat coming up next. Don't you go anywhere. And if you want a nice Boston has entered the chat t-shirt, check out NessandWickedWearables.com. We'll be right back.
I think it's safe to say that Stephon Diggs early on in training camp has exceeded the expectations of the Patriots just physically. You know, you go back to last season, I mean, it was a significant injury that took him off the field for the Houston Texans. It was a torn ACL. It was the kind of thing where if you tear your ACL in the middle of the season, a lot of times for guys, you know, you can practice in training camp, but it really takes you several games to kind of get back into it. It does not feel like that has been the case for Stephon Diggs. I wonder just personally if he would start, you know, the year on the PUP list. Didn't. Came in practicing. Practices very hard. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing him today. One of my favorite practice players just because every rep is so important to him. But this doesn't feel like a guy that's going to be on a pitch count. This doesn't feel like a guy that's going to have to be eased in. It feels like a star receiver who has, you know, really hit the ground running. And like for Drake May to have that guy where you can throw it up and you know that there's a pretty good chance your guy comes down with it when you got to have it. Like, there's not a lot of those in the league, but Stephon Diggs is one, and he has really impressed in New England.
There it is, the voice of Aaron Rappaport talking about how important Drake May and Stephon Diggs, that connection is for the Patriots. I was critical, as you know, Kasey, of the signing of Stephon Diggs.
Oh, I know.
For what they paid for him at his age, coming off an injury. But even I can admit it is an upgrade at the wide receiver position for this team based on what we've seen in recent years.
Welcome to this team.
I know.
Welcome to this side.
Hashtag growth.
It's about time. Honestly, it's about time.
Let's go to Mike Dussault of Patriots.com, who's like, yeah, Trav, duh. So let's start there, Mike. Thanks for getting up with us early in the morning. And look, I was critical. We'll just jump in, okay? I thought it reeked of desperation for the Patriots to pay this kind of money. Not so much that they signed Stephon Diggs, but paying him the way they did. But, hey, he is a number one wide receiver. He is an upgrade based off everything they have on this roster for now at the wide receiver position. You know where I'm going. We'll get into that later. Your thoughts on Stephon Diggs' recovery and building that chemistry with Drake May?
I mean, I'd echo everything that Ian Rappaport said. I think we all were taking it precautiously coming in that, all right, he might need a little time to come back from the ACL. However, we did see back in 2010, Wes Welker came back pretty quick. And Stephon Diggs has been outstanding in camp. He's been everything I think they hoped that he would be, not just on the field, but you can tell he's taking a mentorship role with that wide receiver room. You see him almost every day after practice signing autographs for the fans. You just can tell Stephon Diggs moves different. He's a special player. This is the kind of player that the Patriots have needed for a long time. So at this point, I'm not even thinking about any contract or money. I'm just happy that he's here, and I think he's going to be a huge key for Drake May, like you said.
I was already happy that he was here, but you know what? I'm ever the optimist most of the time. I heard that Stephon Diggs just mentioned, look, I missed football, and everybody is having resounding feedback to say at the end of the day he's exceeding expectations. So I want to get your opinion on something. What would you grade this wide receiving room? Because for months it's kind of been sitting at a C average because they weren't sure what Stephon Diggs was going to do to level up this room, not only from a mentorship perspective, but how quickly he was going to bounce back from injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge upgrade. He changes the whole dynamic, and you've seen Pop Douglas have a really solid camp. You see Matt Collins came back yesterday. He's a player that had his best year of his career under Josh McDaniels, playing a significant role, and you saw a little teaser of that yesterday with him coming in. Also point out Kayshon Boutte, who's had a really good camp as well. So, really I tie it back to, yes, Stephon Diggs is there. He's that proverbial number one that they've needed. But at the same time, the key to me has been Drake May and the way that he has taken in Josh McDaniels' system and seems to really be comfortable in it. You haven't really seen a lot of dangerous throws, turnover-worthy throws. There's maybe one would have been interception the first day of camp with Jabril Peppers that Drake pointed out yesterday, but otherwise he's been really safe with the ball. And I think all the other issues we talked about, how good is their wide receiver room, how good is their offensive line going to be, all of those problems are mitigated a little bit if Drake May takes these strides that it looks like he's taking over these first 8 practices. So certainly Stephon Diggs changes the equation, and it might help those other guys down the roster improve their matchups. Certainly Pop Douglas is one I think to watch out for. He really seems like he's grasping the system as well. So there's a renewed excitement, and I know where we're probably going. I would definitely welcome another wide receiver, though, if we get to that point.
Well, I would like to go there, but first, let's talk Drake May, because, I want to put some numbers on it. I think a lot of us around here are looking for Drake May in year 2 to take that leap, and I understand that. But I want to put it in context of numbers. So last season, 2,200 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks. We know he didn't even play for the first month there, Mike. What does success in year 2, numbers-wise, look like for Drake May to you in a Josh McDaniels offense?
Sure. I mean, I'd start with the turnovers. I think that's the biggest thing. Okay. And just away from the numbers for a moment, I think it's cutting down on turnovers, and it's about how is he playing crunch time. That's what makes those great quarterbacks great. There's a lot of talent out there at quarterback position, but the ones that are never dead, that you're going to have to put down at the end of the game, like Tom Brady. I don't make those comparisons, but I think it's it's in the under 15 interceptions. Certainly, I would say 10, 12, somewhere in there. Keeping those turnovers well below 1 a game would be a huge key. And if you could get to 25, 30 touchdowns, I think it's a really solid year for Drake. Ooh. I know it's a lot, but hey, Josh McDaniels, he's done it before. Yeah. He's got the system, and I think with Stephon Diggs, you're really going to see a new Drake May that has some explosive playmaking ability.
Sticking with the confidence in the sophomore expectations, what level of confidence are you seeing from Drake May? Because some of the bits that I've heard from training camp, he is fearless when it comes to going against the secondary and putting his wide receivers in tight coverage. He's not even blinking an eye. And at one point, he told Christian Gonzalez before the hamstring injury, "I'm coming for you. I'm aiming for you." And this is now one of the top-ranked cornerbacks in the league. So how can we address the level of confidence that you're seeing out of a sophomore QB right now early on in training camp?
It's outstanding. I mean, that's plenty of talk about, Josh, he's got a tough system to pick up. And we know, that he asks a lot of the quarterback. And even going back to OTAs, when we watched him in the spring a little bit, I mean, admittedly, much less tempo and, competitiveness in that point. But he just seems to know where to go with the ball consistently. And, the coaches talk a lot about taking the profit, not trying to force the big plays, but taking what's there. And I think we've seen a good amount of that. But we've also seen Drake, like you said, stand in the pocket sometimes when there was some pressure around him and step up and deliver some throws into some tight windows. He hasn't been avoiding those downfield throws. He certainly connected on a beautiful one a couple days ago to Kyle Williams in the end zone, who's another little bit of a wild card at wide receiver that I didn't mention. So overall, it just looks outstanding from Drake. You love the lack of turnovers. And like I said, those are the 2 big keys for me this year, cutting down on those turnovers. And at the end of games, when the game is on the line, when you need a touchdown, you need to put the game away, can Drake step up and lead the offense to that needed drive?
Mike, I know we just met, but let's get to know each other, you and I.
Sure.
That's a terrifying start. I'm sorry, Mike. I apologize on behalf of all of us already.
I know about your knees already, but...
Well, Mike, I'm just going to put all my cards on the table here, and I like to dabble in sports betting. And I'm looking at the odds right now. Terry McLaurin's next team. Commanders are the favorites, Mike. Mm-hmm. But right after them, the Patriots have the best odds to land Terry McLaurin. Now, if you follow the tea leaves here, Terry has requested a trade. Finally. I mean, are we talking about the Patriots making a move for this guy? Because if you're going to sell me Terry McLaurin, Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams in my receiver room, I can buy that. That sounds really, really good to me. Do you believe the Patriots will trade for Terry and give him the bag that he wants to come here to be wide receiver numero uno, my friend?
I think if he really becomes available, the Patriots will be in on it. Now, can they close the deal or not? We'll see. But I think you've seen over the past year with Elliott Wolf that every time one of these receivers becomes available, Brandon Ayuk, et cetera, they're in the mix. And it doesn't always mean that those guys are going to land here. But I think as we've seen over the past few years how hard it is to acquire these elite wide receivers, and really in today's NFL how necessary it is to have those kind of weapons. You look at the great teams, unless you have an elite quarterback with maybe one elite weapon, you need those elite wide receivers to take your quarterback to the next level. So spend a lot of time talking about having your quarterback on a rookie contract, and we know the Patriots still have some cap space to work with. So I think it all could line up. Commanders are coming here next week. Maybe a little conversations here in the tunnel right outside my studio here. I don't know, but I can't think of a reason why they wouldn't kick the tires on Terry McLaurin for sure, and that would really elevate this offense.
I would agree. And in fact, you spoke about how like a Brandon Ayuk. Some of these guys use this as leverage. Ayuk demanded a trade and got paid. T. Higgins at one point demanded a trade and got paid from the Bengals. So a lot of this could be posturing as well. But I went back and looked at DK Metcalf. Remember, he got moved from Seattle to the Steelers. All it took, Mike, was a second and a sixth to get DK Metcalf. Now, of course, we know the Steelers gave him all the money in the world. But hell, the Patriots, they have the cap space. What do you think the trade would look like for a Terry McLaurin? Do you think it would be as simple as a second and a sixth, or would it be maybe, I don't know, I'm making this up, a second-round pick in one of these wide receiver bodies, like a Kendrick Bourne or something? What do you think that would look like framework-wise for the trade?
I like that framework. I think if I'm the Patriots, though, I'm going to try to give up a little less because obviously you're going to have to give Terry McLaurin this contract that he is holding out for and wanting. So I think you're in the right neighborhood, certainly.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Patriots do have some depth at wide receiver, some young guys. I mean, Javon Baker's another name who's played well the last couple of days. Jalen Polk last year, second-round pick. So maybe one of those guys, just in terms of trying to give the Commanders a guy back for their depth chart, that makes a lot of sense to me. So as far as I just think everything's on the table. When Drake May is where Drake May is at right now, needing this year to really elevate, he's on his rookie deal. You have the money to do it. If the Patriots could make it happen, I don't see really too much out of the question, maybe other than a first-round pick.
All right.
I think that that is safe, and plus it doesn't make us feel like we're going too far out of pocket. Now, a lot of times when you talk about trade conversations or packaging things to move forward, it comes at the idea of where and what do we have to give up. Now, do you think that this would be worthy in a sense that the New England is an attractive place to play? Because that's what you hear a lot of times with players. Would it be attractive enough for McLaurin to come here and make a difference, knowing that maybe they're not contenders for a couple years?
Yeah, well, money talks, and certainly the Patriots have the quarterback right now. I think that's a big part of it, too. I'd also say that the respect that Mike Vrabel seems to have around the league by players and the program that he's running, he's a former player. He's out there jumping in with the guys. You can tell that all the players on the team really respect him. So, you know, I get it. I get when you're a bad team, you don't have a quarterback. It's hard to get free agents to come here. But I would hope over the last, 6 months or so with Drake starting to shine and Diggs is here now, and you see what they're starting to do on the defensive side of the ball. Bring it all together with Mike Vrabel. I think there is some appeal there. Now they've got to earn it this year, and I think that's another big part of this year. Not just Drake May's development, but getting back to that point where hey, maybe we can push the Bills at the top of the division. Can we get past the Dolphins this year and beat Tua for the first time? That'd be nice. So the Patriots can start checking those boxes off. I think the destination will become even more appealing.
I agree, Mike. If I'm Terry, I actually look at New England as Commanders AFC because you have the young quarterback check. Now, you didn't have the success the Commanders had last year, but you have the young quarterback check. You have a really good, maybe potentially great head coach in Mike Vrabel. Check, he had Quinn in D.C. Like, I kind of look at it as it's very similar to what he has framework-wise in D.C. The difference here would be they would give you the money. I think he could win here. I want to ask you about Vrabel since I brought him up. You've been covering Patriots camp for a long time. Does it feel different? I tell people all the time, I've been here in town now 3 years. I got here at the end of Belichick, which was just pure miserable. I know the guy was miserable even when you're winning, but I got here when it was real miserable, okay? And it feels like some juice, some energy around this franchise again with Mike Vrabel. Do you feel that at training camp?
No question about it. And Mike Vrabel, obviously, he's a known name to fans. Everybody loves him for all the, great plays he made on the field and championships that he helped this franchise win. But I think you can tell this is a good spot for, it's kind of like Bill Belichick, where he had his first coaching experience, didn't quite work out, took a little time off, figured out how he wanted to do it next time, and came back in with a plan. And that's what I've seen from Vrabel. It's not just the fact that he's hopping into drills and leading the charge after they break the huddle at the start of practice when he brings the whole team in. That energy is contagious, and that's what we've been talking and hearing all about all spring. Is just the energy that he's brought. Really, it's a tough spot to come in last year, replacing Bill Belichick. I think now you're a little bit distanced from that, and it's an opportunity for Mike Vrabel to really put his stamp on the team, and that's what I see. When you watch this team in camp, you say, you know what, I don't know, people want to ask win predictions, all that stuff. I think this is going to be a tough team that is molded in Mike Vrabel's personality, just like he was as a player. Tough, no nonsense, and you can see it on the field. The players playing hard. That's what he's asking them, aggressive. It's going to be a little bit of a different look in terms of some of the schemes, but overall, Mike Vrabel, I think, has just been exactly what this organization is needed right now. And, we'll see how it all comes together. But so far, it looks to me like he's pushing all the right buttons.
Yeah, he knows how to inject that energy into the veins of everyone around him. But a position group that I'd be remiss not to bring up is the offensive line. There was a number of question marks heading into training camp. Now they're kind of playing musical chairs. They're trying to lean on the versatility of a number of these guys. But what you don't want to do is start a regular season still not knowing how strong your offensive line can be ahead of you. Will Campbell kind of having some struggles. Jared Wilson showing flashes of hope. But what are you seeing out of this offensive line?
Yeah, well, Garrett Bradbury went down, left practice a couple days ago. And so that basically then they all of a sudden settled with Ben Brown, who was the starting center for a large chunk of the end of last year. And you mentioned Jared Wilson, the rookie, who's really, turned a lot of heads and really been impressive, especially in one-on-one drills. You can just see immediately his athleticism. Go back and look at his testing numbers at the combine. He's just, an athletic freak. So they've been managing Morgan Moses a little bit as well. Mike Onwenu has been a stalwart there through camp at right guard. So, Will Campbell, certainly been some ups and downs with camp early on. And, Morgan Moses spoke with the media yesterday, talked a little bit about it. It was pretty obvious to everybody in some of the team portions 2 days ago that, Campbell got beat a couple times by K'Lavon Chase onto the inside, an issue that some scouts had talked about with him coming out. But, I think that's all part of the process for him. And, the fact that they might have two rookies starting on the offensive line may be a little scary, but I also look at it as, we're not trying to make it all about this year. We're trying to build around Drake May and, to give him two rookie offensive linemen who are maybe going to take some lumps, but at the same time be in it for the long haul with Drake and really form that core that the Patriots had always when they were really good and winning championships. I think that's a huge part of it. So we'll see. I mean, there's going to be some ups and downs, I'm sure, with some rookies on the line, but you hope that the veterans on the right side, like Moses and Mike Onwenu, and we'll see what happens at center. Bradbury, I'm assuming another veteran, though. He should be back soon, and maybe he goes back into that starting center spot. But I think the brightest spot's just been Jared Wilson, and him, looks like he's slipping into that left guard spot right now.
Mike, a lot of fans think this team's going to make the playoffs. Where are you at? Kasey and I have gone back and forth. I'm in between 7 to 9 wins. Yeah. And by the way, Mike, I don't know if 9 wins in the AFC even get you in. Ask the Bengals from last season. Where are you at with how many wins this team gets and if they make the playoffs or not?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick my flag on 9. We get this question all the time on our shows, and I'm like, what? Everyone wants it, and certainly, look, there's injuries that can happen, and we know all the things that can happen that could derail it. But when I look at this team, it looks like a real tough football team. Yeah. How is it going to translate into wins and losses? It's hard to say at this moment because there's so many new ingredients. Certainly, the Jets are, a rival that has similar kind of path, and I think a lot of these teams that we're looking at as, well, the Patriots could win that game, the Patriots could win this game. The other teams are looking at and saying, well, Jets, we could beat the Patriots. With Steelers, we could beat the Patriots. So they're in that fourth place schedule land right now, and that's where you see it every year. A couple teams take advantage of that schedule, play well, stay healthy, and are able to make some noise down near the end of the season. So I like the 9 wins. I've watched this team. They look like a really good football team. Yeah. I don't know how good yet, but I'm going to go with 9 wins. And like you said, though, is it enough to get into the playoffs? We'll see.
We'll see. That's where Terry McLaurin doesn't hurt you. Mike Dussault of Patriots.com. We appreciate you joining us here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. When we come back, someone has to win, someone has to lose. We'll talk about the winners and losers from the MLB trade deadline. Roll with us. All right, Mr. Ben Verlander, it's done. The MLB trade deadline has passed. Top winner and top loser, who you got? All right, Kasey Hudson, someone has to win, someone has to lose.
You said it wrong.
Oh, my apologies.
Losers. We're going to talk about some MLB losers on this show.
You want to go winners or losers first? We'll do whatever you want.
You know what? Let's go winners. I feel like we opened up a little, just sad, a little sad.
A little melancholy.
Then we kicked it up a little bit with the Patriots talk. I think we got to keep the high energy, and then we'll go out on the bitter
losers.
end. On the bitter end with the losers. So we kind of already mentioned it, where the winning conversation begins to take place, and unfortunately, it's going to stay in the race of the AL. So on my list, of course, I had Mariners and Yankees, but Yankees highlighted, underlined, bolded, and all the things because, well, there's some fear that's been stricken there.
Yeah. Well, winners for me were just contenders, period, across the board. Yeah. You could name them. Tigers, they got better adding Morton and Finnegan to their bullpen. Mariners, and they needed bullpen work. Mariners got Suarez and Naylor. 2 players, not 1, but 2. The Red Sox shoulda, woulda, and coulda got and didn't. Suarez, we heard talks. They were trying to move him to first. He's like, bro, I'm a third baseman. Naylor is an everyday first baseman with a bat, with playoff experience. They both go to the Mariners. If you told me the Mariners go to the World Series, I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't. Astros got better. I mean, Carlos Correa, they had a reuniting there. Merrill Kelly to the Rangers. Broke my heart. I felt like it broke my spirit. That's the guy the Red Sox need. Again, a lot of these teams I'm saying, Case, they're all players that the Sox were trying to get. We heard Craig Breslow saying aggressively, but well, I guess these other teams were more aggressive because they got them. Even the Yankees and Blue Jays in the division, and Rays to a certain extent, all had smaller, under-the-radar moves that can help them. So I just, any team that was contending, and I just mentioned the AL teams because that's what we care about here with the Sox, right? You look at the NL, I mean, some of the heavies armored up to go take down the Dodgers because we all know the Dodgers are the final boss. So they armored up to get ready for them. The Phillies got better. They got Duran as a closer. You could argue they may have won the trade deadline with that move. The Mets got better. They upgraded their bullpen. Padres got better. Another player the Sox wanted in O'Hearn at first base. The Padres got him. So, again, every team who's a real contender, who's going for the World Series here, they all were aggressive and made the moves that could possibly get them over the hump. And that's what just drives me crazy about the Red Sox, is they did something, but I don't think they did enough. And these other teams around you in your ecosystem got a lot better. They were more aggressive than you were.
Yeah, and the thing is that makes this even more nerve-wracking is the amount of teams that you just mentioned, even just sticking with the AL there for a moment. I mean, you're talking about teams that are kind of sniffing at the heels of Red Sox to make it uncomfortable to even have a wild card discussion.
That's right.
In a couple of weeks here. So you got Seattle sitting at 58 wins. You got the Rangers sitting at 57 wins. And Rangers is probably something, or a team that a number of people circled yesterday once that acquisition took place. And we found out how much more competitive they were going to get. But I can't look away from what the Yankees did. I mean, when you pick up Caballero and you're talking about somebody who's leading the league or tied off in the league for stolen bases, and you look at some of those narrow games that the Red Sox have had, you're talking about teams that just kind of extended that margin and kind of now put themselves in a position to get away from narrow matchups or get these late inning pushes to take place. And the other thing that I'm not a big fan that we saw recently before all of these acquisitions happened for the Yankees is them kind of having kind of a historic comeback as well. So with everything being as close as it's been for the Red Sox to pull off wins, the bolster that's taken place around them, it's going to make it harder to have comebacks.
Well, listen, if we're going to talk losers here, I'm going to also stick with contenders. There's a theme with me because I always look, every trade deadline, I don't care what sport it is. I do the same thing in NBA. If you're a contender and you're going after a title, you have to, if you can, you have to add to get you over a potential hump.
Right.
And sometimes not doing anything or selling, obviously, is not going to get you there. So I always look at contenders and what they do. The Cubs are a team that we know damn well. They're a heavy in the NL.
Yeah, we felt that.
But, again, they needed starting pitching to kind of – I always bring up the Dodgers as a final boss, but there's other teams too. But the Cubs need starting pitching to really win a series against one of those type of teams when it counts, okay, when we get to October. They wanted Merrill Kelly as bad as the Red Sox did. They couldn't land him. So that's a team that they didn't get the big fish that they needed to get them over the hump. So I'm going to call the Cubs losers, even though they're obviously a winning team.
I see what you're doing. Go ahead.
The Brewers, another team who's, you could say the Brewers right now are the best team in baseball, certainly the hottest. But look, my best friend lives in Milwaukee. I'm very familiar with the Brewers, like what they do every year. This is what they do. They're a regular season team. They're always well managed. They always have great, not good, great pitching. But they don't have the bats. They don't have the pop. They don't have the offense. What happens when they get in the postseason and they see Dodgers, Padres, they see all these teams that can score and pitch, they get outclassed. They needed a bat badly. They needed a first baseman with a bat. Sounds like the Red Sox, right? They wanted O'Hearn. Couldn't get him. So that's another team I kind of look at and you're like, well, how could you call the Cubs and the Brewers losers? Well, that's why. Because they needed, much like the Red Sox, they needed these pieces that could help complete the puzzle. They couldn't get there, Case.
All right, that's where you're
Those are my losers.
on your losers list.
Well, I can't call the Red Sox losers. I don't think it's that deep because they did something. You did get Matz. You did get May. But in the end, I don't think you did enough. That's all.
Okay.
But you're not loser status. You just, I was left wanting more from the Red Sox. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were wistful. Is that the word? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll leave you in the wistful category. I took a more simple approach to my losers. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Twins gutted out their entire roster. And to think about the value that they had in the number of these guys, I know that there was just kind of some shock in terms of the return that they got for their larger names that have been targets for well over a month now. So to gut out your roster, to not really have any flair or, sexy names jump back in return to you kind of get bottom of the barrel here, I was just kind of like, what was the plan?
Yeah.
And that's where I just had to highlight and put them in the losers category.
You know what's funny is today, as a Red Sox fan, if you're like, damn, we just didn't do enough, if you're feeling down, here's how you could feel better. Imagine if you were a Twins fan, to your point. Because you're a Twins fan.
I know a number of them.
I mean, you make the postseason every year and lose to the Yankees. It's like turning the page for the calendar. Like today's August 1st. You just turn the page. That's the life of a Twins fan. Make the postseason, lose to the Yankees, right? And so finally, you got to be tired of that. And then finally, here you are, and now you just sold your whole damn team. You're not even going to see the postseason. You ain't sniffing the postseason anytime soon. So it could be worse, Red Sox fans. But Merrill Kelly to the Rangers broke my spirit. I'm telling you, it ruined my night.
That was going to be a tough one to witness.
I couldn't even enjoy the preseason football game because of what didn't happen at the deadline.
Don't blame it on that. We all know that nobody really wanted to watch the Hall of Fame.
You're right.
Us and Tobes are on the same page.
You're right. You're right. Hey, call us. We want to hear your breakdown, your takeaways from the trade deadline and what the Red Sox did or did not do. 617-790-0928. Call us. We always get your voicemails in the show. We want to hear from you. I always say this is a show for the people, by the people. So we want to hear from you. 617-790-0928. State your name, state your claim, and keep it clean. This is a family program. Please. Kasey's the only one that cusses on this show.
No, I'm going to stay honest with everyone. It's Friday, August 1st.
We're letting it fly here on Boston Has Entered the Chat.
I do so eloquently and in well-timed positions.
Always with class.
So.
Hey, the party continues on Nesson Nation. Come rock with us, please. See you on Monday here on Nesson.